Hi, it's Darnell at Whalen Recipes, and today I'm going to be making some ginger buckwheat cookies in the Calphalon quartz heat toaster oven air fryer. And buckwheat, just so that you are aware, has nothing to do with wheat. It's not wheat at all. It has buckwheat in the name, but it is actually more of a vegetable. It is very much a vegetable and not a wheat. So this is something with a very low glycemic impact, and something more like eating a vegetable in a flour form than eating actual flour. And so it fits in well with any diet where you don't want to take in a lot of flour or a lot of excess carbs. There is some good fiber in buckwheat. And so like with vegetables, even though buckwheat has carbs, it's not like getting them from, say, white flour or even wheat flour. So we're going to get started cooking up those cookies right now. So I have quite a few ingredients to go through here, and we'll start out with the buckwheat flour. There are 2 cups of buckwheat flour. I also want to point out that buckwheat flour is gluten-free. It does have a nice long shelf life. The package that I got, the date on it is almost a year out, and you know, things usually can go even longer than their date. So stuff does last a good long time. Got a teaspoon of baking powder here, a teaspoon of ginger, a half a teaspoon of sea salt, a teaspoon of guar gum, and 2 tablespoons of a basically granulated sweetener. I'm using a monk fruit erythritol blend. You can use whichever you prefer. Those are the dry ingredients. Now moving on to the wet ingredients, I've got a teaspoon of vanilla extract. I'm going to be using 2 tablespoons of honey, and I've got 2 large eggs. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and mix the wet ingredients together and get the eggs all stirred up, and mix the dry ingredients together. And one other ingredient I forgot, I always forget the butter because I always have it off to the side, melted. But I've got a 1/4 cup of butter, that's basically 4 tablespoons, and so going to mix that into my wet ingredients as well. And now that my wet and dry ingredients are all mixed, I'm going to take the wet and pour it right into the dry and basically mix that all together. Now I found that I need a bit more moisture. The buckwheat flour soaked things up pretty well, so I'm adding another half a stick of butter. So basically it'll be a full stick of butter, or 8 tablespoons of butter going in. And now I'm just going to finish mixing things up. And that got me just about to the consistency that I wanted, but just need things a little more moist, so I'm adding a 1/4 cup of well-filtered water in there and mixing that in just so that things get a slightly more doughy consistency for my cookies. So we basically add a little more to the recipe than initially planned, just to get the desired consistency for this cookie dough. So now things are at the consistency that I was looking for, and I'm going to go ahead and get the cooker to start warming up now. So just start and go down to bake and leave it at 350, and going to, well, actually hit time temp to bring the time down to 20 minutes. And now that I've got that set, I'm going to go ahead and hit start and let it start preheating. While things are preheating, I'm going to basically spoon out 12 cookies onto the bake pan so that those are ready to go into the cooker when the preheat is finished. And I did mean to spray my extra light olive oil on the bake pan before I put the cookies on, but since I've already moved forward without that, we'll just skip that. But when you do yours, you can spray some extra light olive oil down on your, basically on your pan surface, to just make things non-stick. But this seems like a very non-stick surface anyway, so I think that will be fine. But you see, I'm just trying to form my cookies. I'm sure yours will look prettier than mine, but just going to finish getting those together here. Alright, the preheat is finished, and I'm just finishing getting my cookie dough out, I've got like a little left over, so I'm just going to make one of my cookies a bit bigger than it was originally with this excess dough. Let's get it out of here. Just stick it right on this one here, and it'll just be a bigger cookie than it was before. Let's see, maybe put some over on its neighbor. So that looks pretty decent there for cookies made by me, who is the kid who didn't get an A in art class. So actually I need to wire rack. Forgot that. Sorry about that. Wire rack on middle rack level. There we go. And now we can put the bake pan on that. And now we can hit start. And we'll let things cook up and I'll bring you back. Alright, so let things go to full 20 minutes. And so going to go ahead and get the cookies out and we'll see what we've got going on in here. So here they are, all complete. So now I'm going to take the cookies and get them on off onto the plate here, and I'm just going to, the tops feel very firm, so they're definitely all cooked. See that non-stick surface on the bake pan? No problem at all. I guess you don't really need oil for this bake pan at all. I just kind of standard practice do that, but you see I flipped that one so you get to see the underside. Let me see if I can pick it up. So you see the top, you see the bottom. So just going to get the rest of them off onto the plate here, but it looks like things turned out fairly well. We'll have to see how things taste as far as the taste test is concerned, but things went very smoothly as far as the cook. So I've got all the cookies off. I'm going to just let them cool down just a touch, and then I'll just grab one and we'll start our taste test. Alright, so thank God for this cookie, and just got one out of the dozen there, and so let's taste. Okay, so here's the deal with the buckwheat flour. Just like it was sucking in all the fluids that I was throwing in, it's a very dense bite, and you definitely need some water, but I didn't have some water. But they turned out basically okay. They taste okay. Probably could have done 2 teaspoons of ginger, maybe even 3. And, you know, maybe even up the, maybe a little more honey, maybe a little more sugar. Not sugar, but, you know, the granulated sweetener. Could add a little more, but these turned out, they taste fine, but could have added even a little more to give them a little more kick. So that's up to you. I'll leave that, you know, that ball in your court. But we do see that the cooker does a good job. We do see how to make some gluten-free cookies using buckwheat flour. Not the same as like almond flour, and definitely not like white flour or whole wheat flour. So totally different game there. But you now know how to do it, and you can customize to your delight. And so in the video description, there are lots of ways to help this channel. My cookbook, there's referral links for the cooker that you pay the same price, help the channel, donations, memberships, merch. Also, if you did like the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Share the video with a friend, leave your comments, subscribe, hit that notification icon, and good eating.